सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रम् नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम् मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते। अथ चतुर्विंशति तत्त्वोत्पत्ति प्रकारं वक्ष्यामः। We shall now explain the mode of the origin of the 24 tattva or essential principles. And the statement was made, Brahmashaya sattva-rajas tamo-ganatmika maya asti. That is Maya. Maya asti, that is Maya. And then qualifications of Maya are given. Brahmashaya, that which has its locus in Brahman, Sattva, Rajas, Tamo, Gunatmika, which is the nature of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Maya, such as that, is this acceptance of this principle called Maya, or the concept of Maya. And this becomes necessary because things just do not make sense. Just as what the magician produces doesn't make sense. How did you get a $100 bill? You don't have anything, you just have a piece of newspaper. So, just as what a magician shows doesn't make sense because it is fake, because it is not real. Only that which is real would make sense, which is not real would not make sense. And this world cannot be explained, nothing can be explained, really speaking. So we cannot explain this creation, we cannot explain the world. Question is, Brahman is limitless, and Brahman, the limitless, is the cause of this creation. How can the limitless become the cause of creation which is limited? How can a limited creation emerge from Brahman or cause which is limitless? Because the general rule is that the effect should reflect the qualities of the cause. If the cause is limited, we would expect the effect also to be limited. If cause is limitless, we would expect the effect also to be limitless, whereas we find the effect to be limited. Brahman is consciousness, whereas the creation that we see is inert or insentient. So how that which is consciousness gives rise to an insentient creation? And why should there be a creation to begin with? Any action presupposes a desire. Creation also is an action, presupposes a desire. There was an agenda or a purpose behind any action. So creation also is an action, therefore we would seek a certain purpose behind that. So what is the purpose of creation? Why should Brahman create? And if Brahman, you say Brahman has created the universe, that means that there must be a certain purpose why the universe is created. So what purpose Brahman can have? Brahman is limitless. What purpose limitless can have? A purpose or desire itself shows that there is a lack or a want. There cannot be desire unless there is a want or a lack. So every desire is an expression of a want or a lack. And creation being also an action is preceded by a desire, that means that in Brahman also some want or lack must be there. How can there be lack or want in that which is limitless? And how did this creation come about? By what process? They ask these questions. For example, a pot maker makes a pot. And for that, he requires a material cause called the clay. And then he requires, of course, himself, which is the efficient cause. For any creation, you require these two causes, material cause and efficient cause. Like the pot requires a clay as well as a pot maker. Clay is the material from which the pot is made, and that material usually is insentient. And the creator is pot maker or potter, and he is a conscious being. So the material cause is insentient, and the efficient cause is a conscious being. So Brahman is one without a second. So how can there be this kind of differences such as the material cause and the efficient cause? Because we find that the material cause is different from the efficient cause. See, that when the pot is created, then the creator, namely the potter, is separate from the pot, and therefore the create is always different from what is created. And so this creation presupposes some kind of a duality between the creator and created, just as in pot maker and the pot. But then Brahman is one and non-dual. How can there be this kind of difference between the creator and the created? If Brahman is one, what kind of help did he have, or Brahman had, in order to create this universe? A pot maker requires a potter's wheel, he requires clay, he requires various accessories to create a pot. What kind of help did Brahman have? And all these kind of questions we asked, then we do not find any satisfactory answers. And people ask these questions in satsang all the time. Why did Brahman or God create this world? Why is it so? And these questions are not answered. We do not have what we call a logical or satisfactory answer. And you say that you are Brahman, I am Brahman, then why do I feel that I am limited? If I am Brahman, the limitless, why do I feel I am limited? And so, all of these questions cannot be answered, meaning that there is no satisfactory explanation of why the creation is, and even what the creation is. And therefore, to explain the inexplicable, this principle called Maya is presented by the Vedantins to explain that just as we said, the creation of a magician would not be able to make any sense, so also this creation does not make sense, but the only way that the creation of the magicians can be explained is that there is magic, which makes impossible thing possible, or which creates an appearance of what is not there. And similarly also, there is this Maya, which creates an appearance of what is not there, or which makes impossible appear to be possible. It doesn't make impossible possible, but creates an appearance of possible, which is in fact impossible. So thus, there is this creative power called Maya. And what Maya does is, it creates an appearance of what is not there, or it makes one thing appear to be different from what it is, just as the magic of a magician makes a piece of newspaper appear as $100 bill, and so also this Maya makes Brahman appear to be different from what it is. Just as magic does not bring about an intrinsic change, and so also Maya does not bring about an intrinsic change in Brahman. So thus, there is this Maya, which is what we call the creative power. So there is something called Maya, because other than that, this creation cannot be explained. If the only reality is Brahman, it is limitless, one without a second, there is no reason why there should be any activity at all. There is no reason why there should be any desire at all. A desire, as we said, shows some lack which cannot be. There is no need for Brahman to change. There is no need for Brahman to become many. So various explanations are given about the creation by other teachers, by other thinkers. Vedanta says that this is inexplicable. Other people have come up with various explanations. Some people say that God was alone and he said, all right, let me have company, and therefore he created this universe so that he can play or he can have company. Not a satisfactory explanation, because if God created something which is pleasant, then it's all right, but then this whole universe is full of misery and therefore everybody is suffering. It is all human beings are suffering, and you would wonder, why should God create something and enjoy the suffering of the human beings? Doesn't sound right. And if you say God was alone and so he wanted company, does it mean he got bored? If he gets bored, that means that he is not Ananda, he is not complete. And so no explanation is satisfactory. Some explanations are poetic, and many explanations do serve a certain purpose also. But then, logically speaking, no explanation is satisfactory. And therefore, Vedanta says that there is no need of an explanation which is inexplicable. So Vedanta's explanation of the creation is, it is inexplicable. What is the explanation behind the appearance of a snake when there is rope? What's the explanation? Why should the rope appear as snake? What's the process by which the rope became the snake, but rope did not become the snake? If it became the snake, then of course we have to explain the process. It only appears as a snake. And therefore, in fact, there is no real creation. If the snake was real, then the question why, how, etc. would perhaps have some meaning, but inasmuch as the snake is not real, and even if you answer all those questions why and how, still you have to know the truth of the snake anyway, and when it is known, the snake is no more there. So Vedanta knows that when the rope snake is really analyzed, and when the truth about the snake is known, then you know that there is not going to be any snake anymore, because it will be found that all there is rope. The snake was a notion or a projection or an imagination of the mind. So this creation also enjoys a reality similar to that of a rope snake. And therefore, there is no real creation. That's what Vedanta says. What we call creation is rather an appearance than a actual transformation. In case of a pot which is made from clay, the clay undergoes a real change or transformation in order to become the pot. That is the process of transformation. This is the process of becoming. But then Brahman does not become the universe. It is not that Brahman is one, it becomes many when it becomes the universe. Brahman does not become the universe, meaning that there is no real change or transformation. Or like the milk that undergoes a change. So that kind of modification is there is no such modification also. So these are other models that are given also to explain the creation. Like the Sankhyas would say that there are two principles. One is the consciousness, other is matter. And so they look like the scientists might perhaps do. The matter is looked upon as an independent principle, and that is called pradhanam, is the primordial matter, which undergoes real change and becomes a creation. But Vedanta does not accept matter or anything as independent of consciousness, because how can matter itself create? Matter cannot have intelligence. Matter always requires an intelligent principle in order to mold it, just as the clay requires a pot maker to mold it. So various explanations are given, none of them is satisfactory. And so the Vedanta says that the creation is similar in reality to a rope snake. It is an appearance and not a real creation, not a real transformation, not a real modification. And an appearance need not have an explanation. If it is an explanation, it no more remains an appearance. If you can remember, if you can explain the snake, rope snake, then it becomes real. Then only you can explain. Fact that you cannot explain, you see, people get frustrated when you cannot explain things. Vedanta says that not being able to explain is not a defect, it is an ornament. It is not dushanam, it is bhushanam. That you cannot explain anything in the universe, that is quite appropriate. So Vedantin does not feel frustrated or defensive because he cannot explain. He says if you could explain the creation, then the creation would be real. In that case, the duality would be real. In that case, the sense of individuality would be real. In that case, the samsara would be real. In that case, the sadness or dukkha would be real. In that case, what is real can never be removed, and therefore you can never hope to be free because bondage is real. When can we hope to be free? If the bondage is not real. If I was really bound, there is no way that I can become free. If I was really limited, there is no way that I can become limitless, because whatever, regardless of what kind of changes take place in a limited being, he can never become limitless. You can become little bigger and little bigger, you can never become limitless. Let that frog in a well try to become big in this little well. There is a mother frog and there is a child frog. And then mother always will teach the child, this is the world, I am supreme, I am the queen of the whole universe. There is no one bigger than me. So that's what little frog always believed. Except once it rained heavily and the well got overflowed, and then this little frog child happened to jump out and see the whole universe. Then he found that, hey, there is a whole universe, vast universe. And the water, it saw a big animal, there was a buffalo. He got frightened and jumped back into the well, went to its mother and said, Mom, I saw a whole universe, much bigger than this well. How can it be? This is the universe. Mom, no. And I saw a very big thing, a very big animal, bigger than me. Yes, much bigger than you, Mom. How can it be? I'm the biggest. No, Mom, that was much bigger than you. And so mother says, this much. Then she started to expand, filled up air in her stomach, started to expand. This much bigger? No, Mom, bigger than that. This much bigger? No. How big the frog can become? The thing got burst ultimately. It can never become a buffalo, because a little thing cannot become limitless. However much you expand. And that's what a poor human being is trying to do all the time. He's trying to become limitless. He wants to become limitless in time, and therefore he knows that he's going to die someday. So let me leave impression in the pages of history so that I'm always remembered. In some way, my memory at least should remain in time. Or write your name in the tomb or someplace or wherever. Write some plaques so that you are remembered. The desire always to be. And I want to become powerful and control everybody so that my power spreads everywhere. I have the feeling that I pervade everything. Trying to become all pervasive, trying to become eternal or immortal, trying to become limitless, regardless of what he does, he cannot. And therefore, regardless of what this poor human being becomes, he can never have the satisfaction of becoming free from limitation, because one would be limited anyway. Formerly he was limited and poor, and now he is wealthy and limited, but then that is limited remains always. As I say, the distance between one and infinity is infinite. Between a million and infinity also is infinite. Between a billion and infinity, the distance is infinite anyway. And therefore, one cannot become infinite. One cannot become limitless. So if bondage was real, limitation was real, there was no hope at all. But at the same time, as you said, if bondage was real, then I would have been comfortable with bondage. If limitation was really my nature, I would have been comfortable being limited. Because everything is comfortable being its natural self. But I'm never comfortable being limited. I'm never comfortable being bound or dependent. That shows that it is not my nature. And thus, Vedanta tells us that samsara is mithya. The sense of limitation is unreal. The sense of bondage is unreal. It is a product of ignorance. It is the appearance that Maya makes. And therefore, by knowing the magician, the magic, you can transcend the magic. And so also by knowing the magician here, Brahman, you can transcend or you can see the fallacy of Maya And that's how see the fallacy of bondage. Thus, becoming free is not a process. Becoming free is to recognize that what we consider bondage is false. Therefore, becoming free is to become free from the notion of bondage. That's all. Free from the notion of limitation. So there is a notion of bondage or limitation. From that we have to become free, and the notion goes only by knowledge. Thus this Maya or avidya or ignorance, these are the concepts presented by Vedanta to explain that the sense of limitation or the bondage that I feel is not a reality about me. In reality, I am limitless, I am ever free. It is because of ignorance or because of Maya, which has the capacity to make an appearance of what is impossible, creates a sense of limitation in the one who is limitless. How can it be, Swamiji? If I was limitless, why do I feel limited? That's called Maya. If I am ever free, why do I find myself bound? That is Maya. I am Ananda, why do I find myself sad? That is Maya. Which is, at the individual level, is ignorance, and therefore that can go by knowledge. So understand that this Maya is not to take us for a ride, but the concept of Maya is to give us a tremendous comfort. People become very upset with this word Maya. They think that the Vedanta, they call Vedanta Mayavadis. Mayavadi. Who is the Mayavadi? The fellow who promotes Maya. But not really. Vedanta Brahmavadi, the concept of Maya is only introduced to explain that everything is Brahman. There is nothing but Brahman. There is no real duality. There is no real samsara. There is no real creation. What is Brahman. One without a second. Because the Upanishad says, Sadeva Somya idam agrasit ekameva dvitiyam. Hey Somya, hey good-looking one, this universe before its creation was Brahman, Satchit Ananda, one without a second. All there is Satchit Ananda and nothing else. This is what Vedanta teaches us. And the only way we can understand this is by recognizing that this creation is mithya, is unreal, and it can be mithya only when the cause is Maya. So cause is magic. What is created by magic is unreal. So here the cause is Maya. The universe that is a product of Maya is mithya or unreal, which means that the duality is unreal. Sense of limitation is unreal. What is real is just one non-dual, limitless self. This is what Vedanta wants to teach. Sarvam khalu idam brahma. All this indeed is Brahman. All this indeed is limitless. So in order to teach us that, the beginning is made by saying that there is this principle or concept called Maya, which creates an appearance of what really is not, which creates an appearance of the universe where indeed there is Brahman. Just as an appearance of snake is created where indeed there is rope, and so also the appearance of this, the multifarious creation is created where there is Brahman or the self, one without a second. So this is the concept of God that Vedanta presents. God is one without a second, one non-dual. What is meant by non-dual is that there is nothing other than that. Secondless one. To call God one is one thing. But if he is one of the things, then he is one all right, but then there are many things other than God also. So the concept of God presented to us by other theologies is that God is one. But that this world or the universe is different from God. God is separate from the universe. So mostly the theologies present God as what we call nimitta karanam, or as a efficient cause, like a pot maker is for a pot. So how the creator generally stands apart from creation, like a pot maker stands apart from a pot. And so also they say that God is the creator and stands apart from the creation. So you assign him a place like heavens stands apart from the universe. Vedanta says that if God was separate from the universe, then God also would become limited, because where the universe is, there the God is not. However powerful he is, or however knowledgeable he is still limited because he is confined to some place, confined to some time. He is not here and now, he is elsewhere and later. That means that he is also limited in time and place. And truth cannot be limited. Truth must necessarily be free from every limitation. Truth or satyam has to be free from limitation of time. It cannot be that truth is something now and changes later on. It can't be called truth. Or what I say is one thing here and elsewhere I say differently. It cannot be truth. So by definition, truth must be that ever remains the same at all the times, past, present and future, at all the places, here and there and everywhere, and all conditions. So truth is God. God is truth or truth is God. And by definition, truth must be free from limitations of time, place and conditions. So God must be free from limitation of time, place and condition. If he is free from limitations, he can't be confined to a time or confined to a place or confined to a certain attribute, because then, however great he is, he still becomes limited. Therefore, he should be in all the times, in all the places, in all the attributes. At the same time, he should transcend the time, place and attributes. Just as an actor is in all the roles. He is a beggar also, king also, a minister also. At the same time, the actor transcends all these also. He pervades all the roles, at the same time, he transcends all the roles. So with reference to the actors, with reference to these roles, what is the nature of the actor? Actor is immanent, meaning that he pervades all the roles, at the same time, he transcends all the roles. The one who transcends alone can be immanent or pervasive. So, similarly also, God or Brahman is immanent, pervades every name and form, at the same time transcends every name and form. So just as a beggar or a king, etc., are the superimpositions upon the beggar, so also this universe of name and form is a superimposition upon the universe. Just as the actor alone appears as a beggar, so also Brahman alone appears as a universe. This is the thesis of Vedanta. And only when we understand this, that we can understand what non-duality is. It is non-duality in spite of apparent duality. The non-duality Vedanta talks of is not absence of duality. It is in spite of duality. Meaning that even when we are experiencing duality, what is non-duality alone. And that can be when duality is not real. Therefore, the whole burden of describing the creation is to explain that it is mithya, that's all. Although the description is so systematic, then one would think that these people are describing a real creation. As we said, in Maya also, there can be a method. And therefore, the method or the sequence of the steps is explained here. And basically, the sequence is, the creation is from subtle to gross, from one to many, from subtle to gross. The subtlest is Brahman, which is one, and from that, this gross and many come out. Or Brahman, which is one, appears as many. Brahman, that then alone we can say that this whole universe is Brahman. So what we are now going to study is all said with this in view, to say that whatever is Brahman. Sarvam khalu idam Brahma. All of this is Brahman. And the model that is of creation accepted here is what we find in the Taittiriya Upanishad and some other Upanishads also, as to how the evolution is from subtle to gross, from one to many. And this creation can be likened to the creation of an ornament on the part of a goldsmith. Suppose goldsmith wants to make a chain. So the goldsmith takes a lump of gold. At that time it is called lump. Then he elongates it, makes a rod out of that. It is still gold, but now the name has changed. It is called rod, and its name and form has changed. He further draws it and then makes a wire out of that. So now a new name, wire, but understand, it is still gold. Then he cuts into various pieces. So now a new name and form, pieces. Understand, it is still gold. He turns every piece into a little ring. So now we have rings. Another name and form, understand that it is still gold. All those rings are joined with each other. We have a chain, yet another name and form, understand that it is still gold. So how one gold supposedly goes through several stages before it becomes chain, but while this chain is created, no intrinsic change has taken place in gold. It is gold all the time. Except we give new names and forms. New names are given for our own convenience. But what is gold at every stage. And therefore, they will describe how the goldsmith made the change. First, there was this lump. Then came this wire. Then came these pieces. Then came this little links or rings. Then came the chain. So you would think that some real change or transformation has happened, but the gold has remained ever the gold. There is no intrinsic change. This description is given to us to explain that chain is nothing but gold. That gold appears as chain. All there is gold. And so also Vedanta wants to explain to us all there is Brahman. All there is God. All there is limitless. All there is divine. All there is wholeness. That's all there is. And it is. It is not that one has to become that. It is not that some change must take place before it becomes limitless or it is. And what is to be seen. Understand? Why are they telling us this is so? Because we see differently, therefore there is a need to be told what it is. As I said the other day, I am talking to this person whom I used to know 25 years ago and I have forgotten about him. And therefore I take him to a different person and there some misunderstanding gets created. He thinks that I know him and I am talking and I think he is a different person. Then some acquaintance comes along and says, Swamiji, do you recognize this Krishnamurti? 25 years ago in New York City. And I say, hey, there you are. So this is a statement made to me to recognize what is. That statement does not produce Krishnamurti. It doesn't bring about a change. It just reveals what is. Well, what was the need of that statement? Because I looked upon or I perceived that person as different from what that person was. Inasmuch as I had a false perception, there is a need to be told in order to correct the perception. That's all. Similarly, we have a false perception not only about ourselves but also about the world. So we think that the world consists of manyness, that I am different and the world is different. World is different, God is different. I am different, God also is different. One is different from the other. The inner is different, the sentient is different. This is how so many differences appear to us. And our conclusion is that this world or the universe consists of all these kinds of differences or dualities. That what is you is not I. I exclude you, you exclude me. And thus I limit you, you limit me. Therefore, I always feel limited, different from the world, one among many, very often threatened and isolated. All these feelings arise in me not because there is a reason, but because I have concluded that the world is different from me. And so, Vedanta in fact wants to give us the true perception. Look, your perception is wrong. And whatever you do on the basis of wrong perception will also be wrong. If I think that this is a snake there, then what I do is going to be wrong, because in fact it is not there. So giving reality to this duality and giving reality to this distinctness between the world and myself, giving reality to distinctiveness that I think is between you and I, naturally my behavior, my approach, everything is going to be determined by that perception. And so Vedanta tells us that all this sorrow or suffering is a product of this wrong perception. And all that it wants to do is to correct the perception. That's all. So that is, even though we perceive the duality, what we perceive is not, duality is not true. It is our mind or intellect that interprets the duality, and what is one non-dual. So this is the whole idea behind describing the creation. And so you'll find a very elaborate description of how the whole universe came about. Another thing that we should explain also is, so two things are said about Maya. Number one, three things are said. There is Maya. That's one thing, that's very important. And understand that this aspect of Maya is just brought in to explain something. Then Vedanta knows that once you know the truth, then Maya is not going to remain. Because what is going to remain is Brahman. Like that, what is it? That 18th elephant, Maya is like the 18th elephant. Maybe some of you have not heard this story, but that is a story of a very wealthy person. He died and he left his property to be divided among his three sons. And apparently he had specified who should get what, with different aspects of his property. Then there was a very big elephant stable. There were a number of elephants also that this wealthy person had. He had three sons. He had written that the eldest son should get half number, the second son should get 1/3, and the third should get 1/6, or 1/9 rather. So first one should get half the number, second should get, 1/3 the number, and third should get 1/9 in number. Okay, so this is how the specification was. They went to the place where the elephants were, they counted the number of elephants. There were 17 elephants. Now, they were supposed to be divided like this, half, 1/3 and 1/9. How do you divide 17 elephants? So they were all puzzled. They did not know what to do. They knew that this wealthy person, the rich, he was a very intelligent person, and therefore whatever he would do would have some meaning. And so it's not that he was stupid and he didn't know what he was talking about. So they were all puzzled. How to make sense out of this? So while thus they were deliberating what to do, the minister of that town happened to pass by on his elephant with his retinue. And he saw these people deliberating among themselves and asked them, what's going on? What's the problem? Then he was told that this is a problem. This is what this rich man has said. This is how the elephant should be divided. And we don't know how to carry out this division because there are 17 elephants. So minister says, don't worry, take my elephant. Take it. All right. So they took, now there are 18 elephants. Now this was possible. So eldest son gets half the number of elephants. He got 9. Second son gets 1/3 the elephant. He got 6. But that makes it what? 15. Third son gets 1/9 the elephant. 2, which is what? 17. The 18th elephant is left, and the minister took it and left. So, this is how the 18th elephant is introduced merely to solve an apparently insolvable problem. Similarly, Maya is only like the 18th elephant. Once we solve the problem, there is no Maya because all there is Brahman. So this is Maya Asti. Something like this is. A creative power is there. A projecting power is there. A power similar to that which we use in our dream, and just as we project a dream world of our own. There is also the creative power given to an individual. And Lord, of course, has the total creative power from which this total or objective creation is projected. And Sattva Rajas Tamo Gunatmika Maya Asti. The Maya is made up of these 3 gunas or 3 components, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And that is by inference. The cause is usually inferred from the effect. Cause is usually inferred from the effect. When you see a sprout, then you infer that there must be a seed, because without the cause, the effect cannot be. And from the sprout also, you can infer what kind of seed it must be. If the sprout is a mango sprout, then you know that it must be a mango seed. So from the sprout, which emerges from the earth, number one, you infer that there must be a cause, because without the cause, the effect of the nature of sprout cannot be. What is the cause? A seed must be there, because of which the sprout emerges. What kind of seed it must be? It must be a mango seed, because the sprout is a mango sprout. Thus, the cause we do not see, the effect we see. The effect is what we call manifest. The cause is unmanifest. The seed is not the object of our sense perception. It is called unmanifest. The sprout is what we can perceive through our senses. It is called manifest. So effect is manifest, cause is unmanifest. And the nature of cause can be inferred from the nature of the effect. Similarly, this Maya is often called unmanifest also. It is the cause. And we can infer the nature of Maya. This Maya itself is an inference, understand? You say, Swami, but you don't find this word Maya anywhere. You do find it here and there, but still, Maya itself is a model, is an inference. That the cause of creation cannot be real. Inasmuch as creation is a projection, therefore, the cause is only the projecting power and nothing else. So Maya is a projecting power. So thus, that there is Maya itself is inference. Based on our study of what the universe is, we find that the universe is mithya. And we told you the other day that the scientists also explained to us that this universe, 3-dimensional universe that we perceive, is a projection. It is not real, it is a projection. Like my shadow is a 2-dimensional projection of myself, who is a 3-dimensional entity. I am a 3-dimensional person, extending in 3 dimensions, length, breadth and height. But the shadow which falls on the wall, shadow has how many dimensions? Only 2 dimensions. Shadow is a projection of this body. Similarly, we perceive 3 dimensions, length, breadth and depth. That's what we perceive. And they say that this is a projection of a reality which is 4-dimensional. And thus, it is now an established fact that the universe as we perceive is a projection. This is the word they use, a projection. This is what Vedanta has always said, this is a projection. And if this universe is projection, then the cause is what? Also projecting power. So Maya is the projecting power. That itself is an inference. What kind of projecting power it must be? there also we can infer from the effect. We find that this universe is made up of these three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. Sattva is tranquility, rajas is activity, tamas is dullness. So in the universe, we find a play of these three, sattva, rajas and tamas. For example, sunlight is sattva, brightness. The wind is movement, rajas. The rock is inertia, tamas. Sattva, rajas and tamas. Our mind also sometimes is serene or tranquil, sattvic. Sometimes agitated, rajasa. Sometimes dull, sleepy, tamas. So, this universe is made up of sattva, rajas and tamas. We will see subsequently that in our personality also it will explain how the gross body is a product of tamas. Our organs of action and the vital air, the product of rajas. Our organs of perception and the mind, product of sattva. Thus, our personality also is a product of sattva, rajas and tamas. The universe, we can say, is the personality of God, also made of sattva, rajas and tamas. Just as we have gross body, subtle body, causal body, you can say that God, the totality, also has gross body, subtle body, causal body. The other day we said, just as our gross body, subtle and causal, Vishwa, Tejas and Prajna, so also God's bodies are called Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Ishvara. Same model. So sattva is tamo gunatmika, that Maya consisting of sattva, rajas and tamas. Because the effect cannot have the qualities which are not there in the cause. So cause, which is Maya, must have these three attributes, sattva, rajas and tamas. That it must be a projecting power, because the universe is a projection. And power is always dependent upon the one that possesses power. Power is not independent of the one possessing the power. Therefore, Brahmashraya. That Maya is ashrita, is dependent upon, located in Brahman, meaning that it is a dependent principle. Number two, it is Maya, meaning it is projecting principle. And number three, sattva, rajas, tamo gunatmika. It consists of these three, sattva, rajas and tamas. So the statement is made, Brahmashraya, sattva, rajas, tamo gunatmika, Maya asti. Begins from there. There is Maya. Begin from there. And then everything is very simple. So let us now read the process of description. Why not one of you distributes these handouts? Our Samhita has worked very hard to prepare this chart. So those who are attending the camp, they should first get it, and then if they are left over, then you can give it to others. Thus the title of the chart is Mode of Origin of Creation, 24 Essential Principles. It begins with Maya, where it says dependent upon Brahman, and Maya consisting of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And from there, how the universe proceeds is now described in these passages. So on the page 28, let us read this description. Tataha akashas sambhutah akashad vayuhu vayostejah tejasah apah advyah prithvi. So it says that first there is the appearance of the five elements. The five elements we already seen, are Akasha, Vayu, Agni or Agni, Apaha, Prithvi. Akash, space, air, fire, water and earth. These are the 5 elements. But Swamiji, Vedanta, now science says that everything is one. Why do you talk of 5 elements? This is the model. Just as scientists can tell us 102 elements and things like that, ultimately it's one, but so also we find this 5 in our experience. We will see how each organ of perception pursues one aspect of creation. That is how the creation is perceived as consisting of these 5 elements: air, space, air, fire, water and earth. Tataha akasha sambhutaha. Tataha, from this Maya, first what appeared was Akasha, the element space. Akashad Vayuhu, from that appeared the element air. Vayuho Tejaha, from that appeared the element fire. Tejasaha Apaha, from that appeared the element water. Advyah Pruthavi, from that appeared the element earth. In increasing grossness, the subtlest element is space. Grosser than that is air. Grosser than that is fire and then water and the earth. Earth is the grossest. Why? Because earth can be perceived by all 5 organs of perception. The water can be perceived by 4 organs of perception. The fire can be perceived by 3 organs of perception. Air can be perceived by 2 organs of perception. Space can be perceived by 1 organ of perception. Why is it so? Because, as we will see later on, space has 1 quality, air has 2 qualities, fire has 3 qualities, water has 4 qualities, earth has 5 qualities. As the qualities increase, the perceptibility, the grossness also increases. Therefore, the process of creation is from the subtlest to the grossest. So, tataha akasha sambhuta, first element is space. From there the air, then fire, then water, and then earth. So, interesting thing is, from Brahman, through Maya, there is the space. From space comes air. From air, fire. From fire, water. From water, earth. This we can understand when we reverse this process. Take any solid metal, which is earth, and then we heat it. Then it starts boiling, becomes liquid. You heat it, becomes hot, fire. You heat it, becomes vapor. And you further heat it, it becomes disintegrated and then disappears, at least from our perception, becomes space. So, from the earth to the water, to the fire, to the space, and to air and space. And if you cool down, then there will be a reverse process. Like superheated steam is cooled down, it becomes saturated steam. Cool down becomes water. Cool down becomes ice. So thus we find a reverse process. And that is how this model is explained, how space, which is subtlest, that slowly appears as air. So it's not that something new is created. What is space alone appears as air. What is air alone appears as fire. What is fire alone appears as water. What is water alone appears as earth. And even before that, what is Brahman appears as space. So Brahman that appeared as space further appears as air. Brahman which appeared as space and air further appears as fire. Just as the lump of gold became the wire, it became the pieces, it became the rings, it became the chain, and so also one alone is called by different names depending upon the stage of appearance. Meaning that the element fire is not intrinsically different from air, not intrinsically different from space. Same substance, appearing as it glossifies, appears in these different forms. And ultimate substance is Brahman. So Brahman alone appears as space, that alone appears as air, fire, water, earth. This is how the five elements have appeared. These are, at this time, in the beginning, they are in a subtle state. So these elements in the subtle state are called tanmatras. So if you see the chart, the first line shows subtle tanmatras. What is meant by subtle is that they are not yet perceptible through the organs of perception. And you see space giving rise to air, fire, water and earth. All subtle tanmatras. Okay. Now understand that Maya, the original cause, consists of sattva, rajas, tamas. Therefore, each of the elements, which is also a product of Maya, consists also of sattva, rajas and tamas. You see, for example, the lump of gold is yellow and shining and precious. And therefore, at all the stages also, it is yellow, shining and same molecular weight, it will be there. And so also, since Maya is sattva, rajas, tamas, whatever is created from Maya also has sattva, rajas, tamas. Therefore, each of the five elements also has the aspect sattva, rajas and tamas. Now when that is clear, now we can proceed further. Etesham panchatattvanam madhye akashasya satvikamshad shrotrendriyam sambhutam. Now the text explains how the evolution of the sattva aspect first took place, then evolution of the rajas aspect, evolution of tamas. So of the sattva, rajas, tamas, sattva is the subtlest, rajas is grosser than that, tamas is the grossest. So first the element sattva evolves. So element sattva is in each of the five elements, and so the text explains Edesham panchatattvanam madhye, among these five elements, akashasya satvikamshat shrotrendriyam sambhutam. From the sattva aspect of this element space or akasha, shrotrendriyam, the faculty of hearing, the organ of hearing, so it appeared or evolved. So see your chart, from the space you see sattva, rajas and tamas. Below sattva you see ear, which is the organ of hearing. So our organ of hearing is the product of the element space, is the product of the sattva aspect of element space, is the organ of hearing. And then the text proceeds further in a similar way to explain the evolution of other organs of perception. Vayoho satvikamshad tvagindriyam sambhutam agnehe satvikamshad chakshurindriyam sambhutam jalasya satvikamshad rasanendriyam sambhutam prasivyaha satvikamshad घ्राणेन्द्रियम sambhutam. So from the sattva aspect of the element vayu or the space, we have the organ of touch. So you see space, underneath sattva aspect you see skin, meaning the organ of touch. Agnehe satvikamshat chakshurindriyam sambhutam. From the sattva aspect of the element fire, the organ of seeing, organ of sight. So organ of sight is born, the eyes. From the sattva aspect of the water, organ of taste, so we say tongue, from the sattva aspect of element water. And from the sattva aspect of element fire, we have the nose, which is the organ of smell. So from sattva aspect of the five elements, we have the five organs of perception. And now listen, there is a correspondence between this organ of perception and the corresponding element from which these organs have evolved. As we see here, from the sattva aspect of elements air, space, the organ of hearing is produced. So therefore, organ of hearing perceives the space, meaning the sound, which is the quality of space. Then for the sattva aspect of the element air, the tvagindriyam, the organ of touch. Therefore, the organ of the what we call the tvak or the skin perceives the touch, which is the quality of quality of air. So the sattva aspect of element fire, eyes are created, and the fire has color. Eyes perceive color. From sattva aspect of water, the tongue or the organ of taste. The water has taste, that is the quality, and the tongue perceives the taste. From sattva aspect of the element earth is created the nose, the organ of smell. Smell is the property of earth, and nose smells the earth, perceives the earth, perceives the smell, which is the earth. In short, from whatever element a given organ is created, that element perceives that same element. That organ perceives the same element. So 5 elements, and the qualities are sound, touch, color, taste and smell. And the 5 organs of perception perceiving those qualities correspondingly. So there is a correspondence between the elements and the organs of perception. Continuing, the next passage says, Etesham panchatattvanam samashti sattvikamshat mano buddhi ahankar chitta antahkaranani sambhutani. Edesham panchatattvanam samashti sattvikamshat. Now, combine the sattva aspect of all the 5 elements. Understand that the individual sattva aspect of the elements went into creating individual organs of perception. The combined sattva aspect. So, combine the sattva aspect of all the 5 elements. And what does that create? Says from the combined sattva aspect, the total sattva aspect of these 5 elements are born the antahkaranam, the inner organ. What is called mind in English is called antahkaranam in Sanskrit, inner organ. And the inner organ alone gains these 4 designations: mind, intellect, ego and memory, or manaha, buddhi, chittam, ahankara. This is called the antahkaranam, the inner organ. So thus antahkaranam or the mind is the product of the total sattva aspect of all the 5 elements. And that's what you see in your chart there. You see a full line emerging from sattva aspect of every element and joining total sattva aspect, and that giving rise to antahkaranam, inner organ, which has manas, buddhi, chitta and ahankara. So 6, 7, 8, 9. So first 5 organs of perception, then these organs of inner organ, the antahkaranam. Okay, we'll continue. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.